Hello and welcome to this week's PV-Tech Newscast. Coming up, market reaction to Cylindra bankruptcy, EU PVSEC returns to Hamburg, and a significant leap forward in advanced screen printing. Last week, California-based cylindrical CIGS thin film manufacturer Solyndra announced that it has suspended its manufacturing operations, laid off its 1,100 full-time and part-time employees, and intends to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. A darling of President Obama's administration and a recipient of $535 million in federal loans as it attempted to scale up its manufacturing operations in Silicon Valley. The company had also been supported by nearly $1 billion in venture capital funding. Court documents have recently revealed it held more than $783 million in senior secured debt and experienced a net loss of $329 million, with revenues of only $142 million last year. Falling crystalline module prices and fierce competition from low-cost manufacturers in Asia were cited as key reasons for the company's closure. The firm said it is evaluating its options, which could include a sale of the business and licensing of its advanced CIGS technology and manufacturing expertise. Just a week earlier, Cylindra's founder and former CEO, Chris Groene, announced he would be leaving the company to become an advisor and consultant. The Cylindra filing comes quickly on the heels of Evergreen Solar and SpectraWatt, two other US-based PV manufacturers, which filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in recent weeks. The industry was shocked at the suddenness of the news, and in Hamburg during EU PVSEC, experts said a major casualty was not unexpected, but it's not endemic.
Venture-based companies do have in such situations more difficulties than the incumbents to really prove that their concept, which is revolutionary, has the right to get more and more financing, even though they are still way off from the market success. And what happened to Solyndra is something that we have seen and will see more to some of the venture-like photovoltaic companies.
The biggest problem was that the product itself was too specific. My understanding is that they never have been able, and they never really thought that it would be able to drive down the costs of the product itself, but they wanted to reach low costs by lower BOS costs, and I think this didn't work out in the end.
I think the industry is a bit spooked by the Cylindra bankruptcy. I think lots of people weren't quite daring to say the word bankruptcy before, and now it's there in big letters all over the news. However, I think that there's a certain cautious optimism prevailing here. People are complaining about the prices they're selling at, but they are actually selling. So volumes are moving to Germany, Italy, the UK. Maybe not as large volumes as anyone wants, or at as high prices as anyone wants, but there's a market going on.
Whilst Cylindra has laid off almost all of its 1,100 staff, only days later, Calyxo announced 950 new jobs will be created when they start production of a 16,000 metric ton purified silicon production plant in Mississippi at an estimated investment of $600 million. You can find out more details on this story by going to Chipshot's blog on the website. This week has also been dominated by the 26th EU PVSEC event in Hamburg, with 40,000 visitors and 4,000 conference delegates expected. Our senior news editor Mark Osborne walked the halls to get the inside story.
After several days of attending this year's EU PVSEC in Hamburg, Germany, we've seen what would normally be a very bullish industry now be slightly subdued due to the recent bankruptcies of people like Cylindra, Evergreen Solar and SpectraWatt. But what has been amazing to see is that the industry is recovering from that very, very quickly. And in fact, what we've seen is a huge focus of attention on from an optimistic point of view that solar cell efficiencies, especially for crystalline technologies, is really, really driving this industry towards lower costs and grid parity. What we have seen time and time again is a focus on the metallization processes, the cell technology required for higher efficiencies. We're seeing the problems of silver being addressed with new technologies that reduce the amount of silver required, and in the future actually replace that with alternative materials that will cost much, much less, such as copper. So what we have here is an industry that will recover. It's driving down the cost per watt, and the technology behind it is at its cornerstone.
Thanks, Mark. And this is what event organizer Heinz Ehmann had to say about attendance at this year's fair.
The figures itself, it's not all what we are looking for. We are looking for quality, we are looking for relevance, and if we look around here on the show floor, in the conference area, in the parallel events, we clearly see that the relevance is very, very high, and there are new elements that have been added to the overall program this year that was worthwhile going the effort. They are all very well received, and we look forward to further develop the general concept of the event.
A significant leap forward in advanced screen printing for solar cells has been introduced by Applied Materials, the largest PV equipment supply and market leader in the segment. The new dual-lane Baccini screen printer is said to enable novel, high-efficiency cell designs to be brought into mass production, effectively future-proofing the platform due to its modular architecture. Early customer adoption has included Gintec Energy.
So you have in one unit 2 head printing in the same area and 4 shuttle on a planar motor moving wafer in a very, very kind and soft way. Breakage rate is something absolutely unprecedented, and the customer is claiming less than 0.06% of breakage rate. That is something near to zero. And so having this dual head and dual lane, we manage accordingly to have always at least 50% of the capacity available. And this kind of software is very unique also, and brings a very safe condition for having this capacity in the same footprint always available.
The rising cost of silver, used extensively in the solar cell metallization process, has continued to be a major concern to all cell producers this year. PV manufacturers are therefore seeking alternative materials and process technologies in a radical move down the line that is increasingly focused on replacing silver with copper.
I think a very important part of our development of Pluto has been that we looked into the future and we recognised the importance of getting away from silver. Now, this is something we concluded several years ago, and I think we're now seeing within the industry that the demand for silver is pushing the price up very significantly, and it really is becoming a problem for the industry. So with our Pluto technology, we've avoided the use of screen printed silver, and instead we use copper. Now, copper is a much lower cost material to use for our photovoltaics, and that's one of the reasons why the Pluto technology is a lower cost technology than our standard screen printed cell. Copper also has excellent conductivity, so our ability to produce very narrow metal lines formed primarily by copper has been a very important reason why we've been able to achieve significantly higher efficiencies with Pluto, but also simultaneously bringing down the cost.
We'll be taking a closer look at how the metallization process is developing and the industry's move to copper in next week's programme. Thanks for watching.